Mel, you're on.
Hello there, everybody. This is Mel Allen. Coming up on This Week in Baseball, Bo Jackson explodes with an eye-popping performance to launch the American League All-Stars to victory. A kid with a big heart.
I understand you're on some treatment right now. And how's that going? Yeah. How long you been on?
2 months.
2 months?
And fungo hitter extraordinaire Jimmie Reese, still on the job at 83. So stay tuned for the stars, one and all, coming your way on This Week in Baseball. Winning breeds contentment. And at the halfway point, no teams are more content than those in first place. Of course, all contenders hope to hang tight in the pennant fight and reach that one clear moment.
I see you looking around, searching for some good times, girl. Ain't no doubt about it, nothing sweeter in this world. Forget the ringing on your party line. I'll be there in person, and I'll be right on time. Oh, give me just one clear moment. I can turn your head around. All I need is one clear moment. Get you back up off the ground. I hear you calling for some sympathy. I got the answer that can set you free. In that one clear moment.
And winning has sure caught on at Anaheim Stadium, site of the All-Star Game, but also the hottest spot in the American League West. Seems the Angels messed up the forecasters and ended the first half by winning 13 out of 16 to shoot past the Oakland A's for the best record in the majors.
Yeah, I think everybody in the team recognizes that we're only halfway there, and I don't think we're comfortable by any means. If anything, we can really sense that the guys are driven to want to win now. And every day we come out, if we don't win, we really analyze why we didn't win, and we come out the next day with a little more drive.
Chuck Finley wound up the first half with the team leading 10 wins and an invitation to his first All-Star game. To be sure, the Angels have done it with pitching. They've got the best ERA of any team in the league. And at age 38, Bert Blyleven has the best ERA of any pitcher. He's also 8-2 and is mighty glad to be winning for the old neighborhood.
Having the opportunity to play at home here, I was brought up 10 minutes from this stadium. I think it's given me new enthusiasm. And I want to be healthy, I want to be consistent. And if I can do that, hopefully I can help carry this club to a pennant contender.
This spring, Doug Rader searched high and low for a number 5 starter, and much to everyone's surprise, gave the job to Jim Abbott, who was barely 1 year out of college, but who's already won 8 games.
I think the most pleasant surprise has probably been Jim Abbott. You know, we took a real big gamble from a publicity standpoint. Really, you know, we were pretty much indicted before the season started that we were going to abuse this guy, and it was the wrong thing to do. And the way that he is, he's fulfilled our expectations and our hopes and hadn't disappointed us emotionally. The fact that he's been as resilient as he has and performed to the level that he has been the greatest thing that has happened to us.
California's also been giving many thanks to Devon White, owner of 9 home runs, and one of many Angels pumping power into a lineup that's compiled the most homers in the league. Of course, White doesn't just pop off with the bat. He's collected 25 stolen bases and has made his speed count in center field.
He can cover some ground out there. He can just flat out fill in the gaps. You know, if you give a line drive maybe to right center or left center, you know that Devon White is going to be there to pick you up. And he's a lot like Kirby Puckett. And I don't think Devon White has realized what a great player he can be as of right now, and I think he's only going to get better.
With veteran stars in the cast, the Angels have been better than anyone expected. After all, they finished 12 games below 500 in the last 2 seasons.
There is something special this year that I think that we haven't seen for a couple of years, at least I know since 1986. But it's just a feeling everybody's enjoying themselves. They're having fun. They're feeling like they can win. And I think that it's some of the new people we brought in. Bert Blyleven, I think, is a part of it. Claudel Washington, you know, just some people that have been on winners and brought just a little change of attitude to the whole scene. And it really is a big difference.
And with new manager Doug Rader, the Angels have a leader they feel has also made a difference.
Doug Rader has done a very good job in preparing this ball club and disciplining this ball club and making sure everybody stays on top of their game. So you really have to give him a lot of credit and give the coaching staff a lot of credit. But, you know, I think that everybody has a lot of confidence going right now, and we continue to build on that, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have built on it enough to be the top of our division.
From pennant dreams to a Midsummer Night's Dream at Anaheim Stadium, the site of the 1967 All-Star Game. Heavy hitters were in abundance, but so were overpowering pitchers. Dean Chance gave up a home run in the second inning as we look back, but after that, National League batters went down in a whimper. The Americans, meanwhile, could do little against Juan Marichal or the late-day shadows that contributed to the game's 30 strikeouts.
It is a terrible time to start a game because you really can't see the ball. 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the afternoon is a terrible time to play baseball. And when you get the best pitchers in baseball pitching, well, you're in for a long night. Ed Runge was behind the plate. He had the largest strike zone of any umpire that I think I ever played with.
I can recall coming back in that day after the first inning, and I think Mays and Aaron had come to bat, and all of a sudden they took pitches that they thought were balls and were called strikes. And I went back to our guys in the dugout after the end of the first inning when we were about to come to bat, and I said, boys, we better go up there hacking. Runge's got a big, wide strike zone today.
I was consistent, whether it was a 300 hitter or a 250 hitter or was a National League, American League. I had my usual wide strike zone. And I was consistent with it, so they couldn't say no. They knew I was that kind of umpire, and they had to go to swing the bats.
Each side could muster only 1 run apiece, and the game went into the 15th inning, locked in a 1-1 tie. Catfish Hunter had pitched 4 shutout innings when he faced first-time All-Star and late replacement Tony Perez.
I was looking for a pitcher can drive, you know, because I want to get on base. I'm in a scoring position. I'm not thinking about hitting a home run, but he threw me a breaking ball for the first pitch and called a strike, and then the second pitch he come out with a fastball and I hit it well.
There's a long drive to left field off the bat of Perez. Back goes Jastrzemski looking up. Home run. National League leads 2-1 in the 15th.
With Perez blast, all the scoring came on home runs by third baseman. The American League kept silent in their half of the inning. And in the longest All-Star game in history, the streaking Nationals made it 5 straight wins. Time now for this week's quiz, brought to you by today's Chevy truck. That 67 All-Star game produced a total of 30 strikeouts. Now, can you name the pitcher with the most strikeouts in All-Star history? Now for a starry night in Anaheim. But first, let's check out a skills contest held the day before the All-Star game. How about testing the accuracy of All-Star catchers like Benito Santiago, who hit the mark most often? Some of the game's heavier hitters matched home run wits. The Rangers' Ruben Sierra led his All-Stars with 3 big blasts.
Have it up! Wave it up! It's getting hot!
Hot was Eric Davis. His 3 homers were enough to put the Nationals over the top. But so much for the lighthearted side. Now it's time to get serious.
We're coming to you live from Anaheim, California, home of the 1989 All-Star Game. Mel Allen in This Week in Baseball.
Well, all right, and thanks for the intro. And now for a little pregame pomp, circumstance, and California glitter. Among this year's collection of stars is the Angels' own Jimmie Reese. At the age of 83, the game's most famous fungo hitter is still on the job.
Rick, take him out there, will you? Take him out there. Come here. Well, I enjoy it very much. I don't let him think that I do, but it's been fun, and we have a good relationship with him.
He's a wonderful, wonderful guy. The only thing I can't figure out is why he's our conditioning coach. You know, that's the only thing that shocks any of us.
Jimmie Reese is an amazing man. You know, he's 83 years old. He's out here every day. When you look at a day like today, it's kind of warm, and he's out here with his sleeves on and his chew in and his fungo bat in his hand, and this is life for Jimmie Reese.
Reese once played in the majors for 3 years, a stint that included rooming with Babe Ruth.
He was great. He was great. I used to go over to his house quite a bit. And he's a fellow that didn't like to lose, no matter what the game was. He had a little room there with a pool table and a recreation room. And before dinner, when I would go over his house, I had him beat for 20 cents one day at a pool game. We played 10 cents a game, and his wife called us for dinner, and she said, "Dinner's ready." He says, "I'm not quitting till I get even." So after he got even, he said, "Now we'll play." But he just didn't like to lose.
It's not the physical condition of the guy that's so astounding, is that his mind is so sharp, and he's such a pleasant, wonderful guy to be around. And when you stop and think that his best friend on the ball club is probably Jim Abbott, that probably tells you a lot about both people. You know, Jim respects this man so much for what he's done and the way he is, and Jimmie is smart enough to realize a real quality person.
I tell you, there's certain people that come around in your lifetime that really touch you, and Jimmie Reese I'll never tell him this, but he's touched my life. I think he's touched a lot of people. The stories that he can relate to you about the 30s and the playing way back when and the old times, that's what we sit on the bench and talk during the games, just about, the good players, who is the best, Feller, DiMaggio, Babe Ruth and everything in it. For me, that's what it's all about.
For 72 years, Jimmie Reese has done a little bit of everything in baseball, not the least of which was getting to throw out the first ball in front of the home crowd at this year's All-Star Game. That done, baseball's Game of Stars paid tribute to honorary captains Carl Yastrzemski and Don Drysdale. But the biggest cheer went to Mike Schmidt, the fans' choice for the All-Star Game, although now retired and a spectator only. As the 1989 Classic got underway, Dave Stewart gave all the spectators something they didn't figure on when Ozzie Smith led off the game with a single. So much for the notion that the twilight starting time would hurt the hitters. Three batters later, the Giants' Kevin Mitchell, who's really been exploding all season, met this pitch nice and easy and brought home Tony Gwynn with the first run of the game. National League went up 1-0.
The man's unbelievable. Man's unbelievable. He's carried us. He's carried us through the whole first half, and I don't think he's going to let up because he had 5 home runs the last 5 days, so he's been on fire.
Howard Johnson fired up the Nationals still more when he delivered the second run of the game. And before the Americans even came to bat, they were down 2-0. But in the last of the first, Rick Russell got a jolt from Kansas City's Bo Jackson in his first All-Star at bat.
Ball hit deep, way back. Davis looks up, it's out of here. Bo Jackson leads off the bottom of the first with a towering home run to dead center field.
How about that? Some 440 feet to be exact. Not exactly what Wade Boggs did next, but look.
Hey, that looks like it's going there, too. Eric Davis to the track. There it is. Gone.
2 batters, 2 home runs, a tie score. There was more coming up in the second inning when the American League put 2 runners on, and with 2 outs, look here. Bo Jackson at it again.
Breaking ball grounded to short. Ozzie Smith to Sandberg. Back to first. No contest. Bo is there. The run is in. And the American League leads 3-2.
En route to All-Star MVP, Bo Jackson was pure excitement, treating the full house to a little bit of everything. Go Bo. And how about that Roland Nolan Ryan, who shut down the Nationals in classic Ryan fashion? He struck out 3 in 2 innings as the American League got first-rate relief. After the first inning, the Nationals had only 5 hits. And with the American League up 5-3 in the 8th, Cleveland's Doug Jones shut the door as the 60th All-Star game ended with the Americans winning their 2nd straight and 3 of the last 4. Now this week's quiz brought to you by today's Chevy truck. In 8 All-Star games, Don Drysdale struck out 19 batters, most in All-Star history. Time now for Choice Glove Work from Choice Picks, presenting great plays from this year's All-Stars. First up, Mark McGuire, Oakland A's. The Padres, Tony Gwynn. Mickey Tettleton, Baltimore. A deflection to Oriole teammate Cal Ripken Jr. From St. Louis, Ozzie Smith, the Wizard of Oz. Julio Franco, Texas. Also quick of hand, Benito Santiago, Padres. Ruben Sierra, Rangers. This year's top vote getter, Will Clark. All-Star MVP, Bo Jackson. Kirby Puckett, Twins. Finally, a barehanded Kevin Mitchell. And now to prized efforts off the field as Gary Carter received this year's Roberto Clemente Award.
Roberto always was worried about the other people, trying to help the children and anybody that needs help. He dedicated his life to that.
Roberto Clemente was a champion of those in need. He set up a baseball clinic in his native Puerto Rico and had more ambitious plans. But in 1972, while on a relief mission to Nicaragua, his plane crashed into the sea.
I very much admired Roberto Clemente on the field as well as off the field. He was a great athlete, a great human being, always a caring person, a loving person, always wanting to help out. And the tragedy that took his life, he was in the process of helping kids as well.
Gary Carter's work with the American Leukemia Society stems from his own experience with the disease. You see, his mother, Inga, died of leukemia when Gary was only 12. And for the past several years, Gary has worked to raise money for leukemia research.
I feel that I wanted to be able to give something back. I feel that there is a responsibility for an athlete, for a ball player. I always felt that there was a role that a player should play, not be known to the kids, to the youth, getting in trouble, doing things on the field, off the field, and representing baseball or the sport that you're involved in to the best and the highest that you possibly can.
I understand you're on some treatment right now. And how's that going? Yeah? How long you been on?
2 months.
2 months? You feel like you're getting better?
Yeah.
Are you?
No doubt Carter's success on the field has given him a great sense of pride. But Gary says that's not all there is to being a star.
Having the opportunity of visiting hospitals and working with the kids is much more of a great feeling than it is of really hitting a home run or even a World Series home run. I mean, I won't forget a lot of the home runs that I've hit in my career, but being able to help kids and especially the Leukemia Society and seeing the great advances being made, that's the thing that makes you feel the best.
Time now for our Player of the Week, brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. We salute Bo Jackson, the star all the other stars are talking about.
He's a phenomenal player. He really is. He's very dynamic. He can do a lot of things. He can run, hit, throw, hit with power.
When he hit that ball, I swear I thought he hit a golf ball, the way it sounded.
Just have to just sit back and just watch Bo just go to work and just sit back and just take notes. Maybe you can learn something.
Bo's for real. He's God as far as I'm concerned.
Next week, fans, a visit with Rod Carew, the 7-time batting champ turned teacher, giving tips on his favorite topic, how to hit. That's all for now, folks. See you next week on This Week in Baseball.